Donald Trump wants you to believe he is the hero behind the release of the Epstein files, that he fought for transparency, that he forced the House and Senate into passing the bill, that somehow this all happened because Donald Trump told them to. But that's a lie. The truth is simple. The bill passed because Donald Trump was too weak to stop it. It was going to pass with or without him, and he knows it. That's why he's scrambling to rewrite history, pretending he supported the release all along, when in reality, he's been panicking behind the scenes and still trying to block the files. And his meltdown proves it. Even Karoline Leavitt was shoved out front to clean up the mess, and she crumbled instantly. But before we get to her falling apart, listen to Lawrence O'Donnell's breakdown of what actually went down last night, because he explained it better than anyone.
As I said, Chuck Schumer announced at 3:15 p.m. on the Senate floor that he was going to ask for unanimous consent. And Mike Johnson knew that at 3:15 p.m. because it was on television in his office. Here is that moment.
Later today, I will ask unanimous consent for the Senate to hold a vote to pass the House Epstein bill.
The entire Congress knew that as soon as Chuck Schumer said it. But now, Mike Johnson has decided he has to lie his way out of his humiliation of having told his members that the Republican leader of the Senate would absolutely amend the bill after they voted for it. Here is the pathetically humiliated, lying Speaker of the House.
Any reaction to Leader Thune, you seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I am deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I'm told I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments.
Every member of Congress who didn't know it already knows now that Mike Johnson has no idea what he's talking about when he tells them what's going to happen next in legislation. He is a liar or a fool to have suggested that the Senate would amend the bill, and all of his members know that now. It is impossible for a Speaker of the House to achieve a more complete legislative and strategic humiliation than Mike Johnson achieved today, and it is impossible for a president to lose every vote of every senator in his party in the United States Senate on a vote that is entirely about that president himself and his own personal history and friendship with a sex trafficker and rapist of children. Donald Trump's dictatorship over Republicans in Congress is coming apart. The Epstein files have finally broken Donald Trump's dictatorial grip on the House and on the Senate, and that is why the coverage on this program has been focused on the Epstein files this year, because it seemed like it could be the thing that finally broke the dictatorial grip, and has finally done exactly that tonight. What happens next to the dictator's grip is unknown, but remember, just a week ago, it was unimaginable that there would be a unanimous vote in the United States Senate against Donald Trump to release the Epstein files. But that is where we are tonight.
And now the excuse they're clinging to, the excuse they want America to repeat, is simple. The files are being released, so it's over. Time to move on. No, that's not how this works, because the files are not going to be released in full. We all know that. They're going to be sanitized, redacted, half-dropped, rewritten, filtered through Pam Bondi, a woman appointed by Trump, loyal to Trump, hand-picked to protect Trump. She has 30 days to organize the files, which in political language means cut out whatever might burn the king. And she will do that. She is already doing that. That is why we cannot just step aside and pat ourselves on the back. We have to push harder now than ever. And if you want proof of what Trump is still trying to hide, just look at the video that went viral. The moment Trump was pressed about Epstein on Air Force One, his voice snapped, his face tightened, he lost control. And Catherine Lucy, a respected reporter, asked him a simple, direct question about the Epstein files. And his answer wasn't strength. It wasn't leadership. It wasn't transparency. It was quiet. quiet piggy. He called a female reporter piggy because she asked him about Epstein. That's not dominance. That's panic. That is what a man sounds like when he is cornered.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched, or somebody psychs you over at ABC, you're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. And I guess I would turn out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today. It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, zero, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's is, your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it out?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump, and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible, and you're not credible as a reporter. So I've answered your question. You should go and look at the Democrats who received money from Epstein, who spent their time. Larry Summers was with him all the time. That creep.
The White House's defense made it even worse. They claimed she was inappropriate. They claimed if you give it, you have to take it. They blamed another woman, just like they have blamed women, girls, victims, survivors, and anyone who tells the truth about Trump and Epstein. This is the same administration that shames the abused, mocks reporters, attacks whistleblowers, and brands Epstein survivors as political props. And now they want us to believe that Trump is the champion of transparency, that he wanted these files released, that he fought for this moment? No. If he wanted that, he would have released them himself 300 days ago when he took office. His DOJ has had the files the entire time. They could have released everything but grand jury redactions any day of the week. But Trump blocked it. He barred his attorney general from releasing them. He stalled. He ranted. He threatened. He begged Congress not to force his hand. That's why he's melting down. That's why he insulted Catherine Lucy. That's why Karoline Leavitt was sent out like a human shield. Not because he's confident, because he's terrified.
Turns out that we don't have to cave to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will cave to Congress. And I hope this is really the lesson that Republicans learn, that they can pierce Trump's intimidation and they can still survive politically.
Well, that is the lesson that Thomas Massie is teaching them, that Marjorie Taylor Greene is teaching them. They beat Donald Trump. They didn't just survive this. They have beaten him. He's the loser tonight, and they are the winners.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it was a humiliation. Trump saw that he was going to lose 60 to 70 Republicans who were going to vote against him. And, you know, Speaker Johnson, as you put it, I mean, it was a complete humiliation for him. He kept adjourning Congress to try to block this vote. Then he tried to plead with the Senate to amend the bill. Again, a failure. He ends up voting for a bill that he was against. Today is a day, because of the survivors, that we can say is the beginning of the end of the Trump presidency. I really believe that, because Trump's whole tactic is fear. Get people to comply thinking he's all powerful. But this is a Wizard of Oz moment. People stood up to him, they won, and they realized that they have support from people in their own party.
We watched you develop this bipartisan support. First of all, Congressman Massey, who was with you right from the start. Then we saw other Republicans come in just enough to get to that 218 number of signatures on the discharge petition. And then the question was going to be, everyone thought, what happens in the United States Senate? Because we started to see that clearly you were going to prevail on the discharge petition. It was going to make it through the House. And at this point last week, people were talking about, well, maybe it'll never come to a vote in the Senate. I believed if you could achieve a massive Republican vote in the House, John Thune wouldn't be able to ignore it. But here we are. John Thune, in his way, ignored the bill by not even daring to show his face on the Senate floor when the vote occurred, the unanimous vote that Chuck Schumer pulled off today.
It was incredible. And I remember being on your program where you said if you got big numbers, then the Senate would move. And you're an expert of the Senate, so I took heart with that. But you turned out to be right. Look, what happened is that Donald Trump figured out that it would have been a huge embarrassment for him to be opposed to this. And I think the Republican senators realized that they don't want to be the ones defending the Epstein class. They don't want to be the ones defending rich and powerful men who have abused and raped these young girls who were telling their stories. And so I appreciate Senator Schumer bringing this and getting the unanimous consent. It's going to go to the president's desk. But I just wanted to say, Lawrence, your role in this cannot be underestimated, because if we did not have that press conference at the Capitol, we would not have had the momentum to pass this in the House of Representatives. And the only reason we had this, and I've said this many times before, and I'll keep saying it, is because your team had Bradley Edwards on, and he was the link that got us those survivors, that had us subpoena the Epstein estate, but that had those survivors come to the Capitol. And they really deserve the credit. They deserve the credit for this. They should be there at the signing whenever the president signs it. And they deserve the credit for helping bring the Congress together on an issue and giving the Congress spine.
And this right here is not the time to go quiet. This is the time to push harder than ever. Because for the first time in a long time, Donald Trump is bleeding politically. And the only thing he fears more than the truth is the moment when he can't control the story anymore. And that moment is right now.